and we know that this is a headline everywhere, but there are real people behind these jobs, because Meta is reducing its workforce in Ireland by 350, and it says that this is all down to AI.
So join us with that story and the other stories making this morning's papers is political correspondent with the Irish Independent, Moloney, and Lorcan, Nyhan from the Communications Clinic. Good morning,
Good morning
to you both. Aisling, let's start off with this story. So Meta, 350 jobs are going to be lost. This is a worldwide cut that they're making, but particularly in Ireland being the hardest hit.
Yeah, so they said, I think they're doing a 10% cut in jobs worldwide, but this is coming out in Ireland as 350 jobs, which would be equivalent to about 20% of the workforce here, which is obviously incredibly worrying for anybody involved. We've seen tech companies over the last couple of years do a lot of this, hiring a lot, and maybe hiring to signal prosperity, hiring to signal good times in their business. And then when they realise that the headcount isn't materialising the way they need it to, or that they did overhire to signal prosperity, now they have to make cuts. Now, Meta, who own WhatsApp, Instagram and Facebook, are saying that this is because of AI, that basically roles are becoming redundant because they have AI to do the things that the people that were in these jobs were doing. Now, there's a lot of criticism, particularly on the front page of the Irish Independent today, from people involved in, I suppose, the AI sphere, and those who work in the area, saying that this is kind of a cover story, essentially, for Meta to cut jobs because they did overhire, particularly during COVID. And I suppose one of the really important things to note is that Meta, the parent company of those three very well-known platforms, WhatsApp, Instagram and Facebook, they spent €70 billion on a metaverse project. And people might remember Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook, coming out in recent years saying that he was going to transform the way people kind of interacted online. It was going to be all this kind of virtual reality stuff. And you'd have a headset and then you'd go into like this virtual life and you'd have a little avatar. I think at the time it was, obviously talked about a lot in the media, etc., and amongst people, but it had no real world transfer. And you're also, I kind of think about the origins even of social media. So Mark Zuckerberg is one of the creators, and he was an awkward college student who couldn't really talk to people face to face, and made a platform where you could kind of rate other people with likes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it changed the shape and fabric of our society. He tried to do it again with his metaverse, and people were like, are you cracked? Yeah. We're not going into virtual reality. They spent €70 billion on it. And now this is the result.
So in relation to this then, if they're saying, Adrian Weckler on the front of the Irish Independent saying this is sort of a cover story for the metaverse, he's lost so much money on this that he's got to claw this back. But people are sitting here going, well, we're getting a lot of money and a lot of jobs in the tech sector in Ireland. Is this actually going to be contagion if this is real? Or is it the cover story, Lorcan?
Yeah, so I think there's an element of this that some of this is because of consolidation from AI, where, particularly, kind of manual processing and stuff like that. Like, that is on the way out because of AI and what these tools can do. But I suppose the argument would be that companies have always tried to use technology, and countries have always tried to be as lean as they can possibly be. And that, yes, AI, there is a revolution with it coming. But as I think Scott Galloway had put it, he said that it's like any technological change, but just with better PR. And so that, like, technology changes always happen. This will happen again, like .com, etc. But that people want you to be incredibly scared about what it's going to do to society, because if you're scared, you will invest and you will use, and you will say, I need to be on top of this and run through. So that's the argument he's making, which is that they want you to be scared. They want there to be fear, when actually we can all chill out to a degree. It's going to change how people hire, and particularly at grad roles, and we're seeing that, and we're seeing entry-level roles. But companies are going to have to adapt to that, because companies will still need managers, they'll need middle managers, they'll need senior people, to the point. People want an adult in the room, they want a leader in the room, they want somebody making a connection, because that's what we want to do. So companies will have to rework it. It's obviously going to have a big impact. And then you also see the fact that younger people, if anybody has seen any of the commencement addresses in American universities over the last while, anytime AI gets mentioned, they get drowned by a chorus of boos and abuse, because young people hate it. Absolutely hate
it. That's it, because you saw, I think it was 50% of graduate jobs have been cut, but at the same time, overall jobs
is still increasing.
But if we don't give the graduates the opportunity to learn the ropes, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So listen, as you say, we're in 350 people who are going to be waking up without their job here, and this is probably going to have a knock-on across other companies as well. Right, let's move on to another story. We have to zoom through some of these as well. I love this story as well, supermarkets. So supermarkets now, we see like the abundance of food and pastries and Japanese food now I'm seeing popping up all over the place as well. But now supermarkets are going to be told that they have to give away this food that's not been sold.
Yeah, so this is kind of a new idea. Now, it's far from being implemented. It's Fianna Fáil TD Nisha O'Carroll who called for this yesterday, saying that Irish supermarkets should follow a protocol where they have to give over some of that non-expired food that will not be, I suppose, bought by the consumer to charity organisations and communities that need community services, I suppose, that need food. And particularly, I suppose, some of this already happens, but to a very small degree and a very charitable level. And it only saves around 1,600 tonnes of food each year. But the supermarket, retail and distribution sector accounts for 84,000 tonnes of our food waste each year, which is a huge amount. And food waste, wasting that resource is a climate and environment issue. You're putting in a lot of resources to make all that food, to package it, and to waste it is then, it's not beneficial to the environment or anything like that. So this would be quite a novel idea. It's already done. Large supermarkets in France have not been allowed to destroy unsold food since 2016. So it's going on 10 years there, and it seems like an idea that we could certainly get a hold of here.
We'd love to hear from you. 0896 111 111, because we were talking here one day about people who won't buy certain vegetables because they don't like the look of them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
That's a huge issue in supermarkets.
Not that we're superficial or anything.
Yeah, only 10% of food waste is supermarkets as well, by the way. So 90% of food waste in the country is us.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, and it's 20,000 trucks full of food every year. Where vegetables, meat is wasted.
Is wasted, right? Okay, so
20,000. Thank you for putting tonnes into something I can actually imagine.
So if you were to do a convoy of trucks, that's 235 kilometres of trucks.
But I have an issue on this, because my wife, anything gets close to the best before, it's gone. Do you know what I mean? And it wrecks.
See, I grew up in the opposite household.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Where we were like, a little bit of mould, just scrape it off. But that's a good. That's good.
This is down to the companies who are doing this on purpose to limit the best befores and the out of date.
They want us throwing it out because we have to replace it and buy again and throw it out again. And best before and use by. It's use by.
But it's a mentality.
Totally.
Right? Your parents don't waste anything. My mother doesn't waste anything.
Yes.
It's no big deal. It's a mentality we've gotten into
100%.
over the past few decades, I think.
And it leads to supermarkets not being able to give away certain foods because it could be close to the best before date.
Yeah.
But then most of it will be thrown out that's actually perfectly legitimate food.
0896 111 111, from how you were, like, do you scrape off the mould, or is it like, I am not going near that if it's 10 weeks near a best before date?
It's scraping off the mould now.
Scoop it out of the jam, do you?
That's a bit further than I would be going now. I'm happy with that before.
Happily scrape off the mould on certain. Absolutely.
Adds the flavour, Lorcan.
The jam is fine.
The butter, it's all good. Like, you just scrape it off.
But my wife begs to differ. Yes, exactly. So let's move on to another quick story. This is talking about health. It's actually around women and men, particularly underage, talking about actually how they feel less healthy than men, but it brings into another story around exercise and the cost of exercise nowadays. And with the cost of everything going up, exercise is going the same way.
There's an opinion piece by Lorraine Courtney in the Indo today.
Yep. So this is coming off the back of a political call for a tax credit to be included in this year's budget for people who have gym memberships. This is something that was floated last year. The tax strategy papers from the Department of Finance said it wouldn't really make a difference, and they kind of abandoned it. But this year it's being called for again. And I suppose it comes into the line of this idea that the people that work the hardest, pay all their bills, maybe want to have a gym membership too, either can't afford it or, are squeezed when they're paying for it. And so this is an idea that, I suppose, giving back to those people and allowing them to go to a gym membership and get some money back for it would increase the likelihood of people going to gyms potentially.
Would it work? Would you do it?
Well, I pay for my gym membership, but in a hard time, I'm sure I would not pay for it. And so is it important for me to still have it? I would also argue that there is no barrier to you exercising
because you can do it
in
yourself.
other ways.
I totally get that.
And I think maybe there also needs to be commentary, I think, in this around why is there no community capital health infrastructure?
Yeah.
Where are our community swimming pools? Where are our community gyms? They're all in leisure centres and hotels.
So this is interesting,
well,
Lorcan, in relation to all of this, that a lot of places you can see charging 200 quid a month, but then there's some GA clubs that you can go to and you could be going for 30 quid a month. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like there are places that are cheaper, and the opinion piece here is that, you know, the Plaid is being €35 class is what has priced her out of exercise. Which, look, you can see when, you know, cost of living, etc. increases, you do cut back. But there are obviously more affordable options. I suppose the general idea to it, which is if you could get people exercising whatever way you get them, it's worth money for the state, because it costs us a huge amount of money when people don't exercise. That's the state. That's effectively it.
Yeah.
Where any money you put into it, you get back because you don't have healthcare costs on the other end.
Okay, so exercise, scrape off the mould on your food and don't throw it all out. I mean, listen, this government stuff's easy, isn't it? Just make it all happen.
We've the world sorted this morning. That's great. I am not scraping the mould off my butter.
It's fine. Oh my God, around it. 0896 111 111. Are some of the classes you go to absolutely just gone crazy expensive?
Cost.
And is it like put on your runners and just go for a walk outside? Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Ashley Moloney, Irish Independent, and Lorcan Nyhan from the Communications
Great,
Clinic.
guys, thank you.